Good day to the veterans, their families, and citizens of New Bedford and our surrounding areas. Many of my guests are invited to share information to you about veterans benefits for you, the veteran, and his family or her family. We know the need is out there now, and we want to get as much to you of information as we possibly can through people in our area that know. Today, my guest is, once again, Mr. Donald Morse from the Fort Taber Military Museum. He's done wonders with that with all his other volunteers, and it's a city thing, and all of you should at least make one trip down there to the fort to see what we have down there for the city of New Bedford. Good morning, Donald.
Good morning.
And you're not a veteran, though.
No, I'm not a veteran. I'm a son of a veteran, and I had a brother who was a veteran also.
Very good. Very good.
I just missed out because I became a dad. So
oh, that helps.
My wife said that I've missed my calling, so now I'm serving my calling.
Your duty, anyway.
By working in the museum.
So your title at the museum?
I am the treasurer for the Fort Taber Fort Rodman Historical Association.
Okay.
And we operate the Fort Taber Fort Rodman Military Museum. And we just had an addition completed which added 185 square feet to it. So it's double the size. Mm-hmm. And it's all complete now, and we'd like everybody to come down and take a look to see what we've done. It's a completely different look than what we had before. We've taken walls down, we've moved walls, and we've added a lot of things that we weren't able to put out before. You've
got a small room that people can use for meetings or things like that, or have you
actually
eliminated that?
we use the addition room. It's 32 by 40, and we can move things around in there, so we can actually have some people in there and put maybe 40 chairs or so in there.
Yeah, because I know I was in there one night when I first started. It's a
quite
beautiful addition.
It is. Well, the new addition has cases all the way around the walls, and the cases are 20 inches off the floor, 6 foot high, 2 foot deep, all the way around the wall, which is, it's a 32 by 40 room, so the wall holds. And in that addition actually is everything from present day back to Korea.
Okay.
And then everything from World War II back is in the old section. Everything is arranged by period. So when you start in there, we start with the Revolutionary period and we work right up to present day, and we just keep adding. In fact, since Veterans Day, November 11th, we've had over 1,000 pictures or items brought in. So we're running out of room again. I hate to tell you, we're running out of room again. But we think it's wonderful, and we've had a lot of people tell us that. So it really isn't something that.
Now, it's not just local. You've had visitors from all over, haven't you?
Well, this is what I'm going to tell you now. In the year of 2011, we had 6,480 visitors, and out of that, 1,449 were out of the region, state, or U.S., which is like over 22% of that amount. 369 were Massachusetts residents from 50 miles or more away. 1,024 were from other states. 56 were from foreign countries.
Really?
So actually, since we opened in August of 2004, we've had 40,863 visitors.
So this is your 8th year?
Yes. And actually, that's what we have written, but when we have a revolutionary encampment, a Civil War encampment, we can't get everybody to sign in.
No.
It gets too busy, they walk by, they won't sign. And some people will not sign. And we just ask them if they would put their name and address, but if just the city or the state, whatever, so we can get a feel of where they're from. We also like to stress that last summer you had to pay for parking in Fort Taber Park. Oh. And actually our visits went up 40%.
Really?
Because now we're more accessible for people to come into. Plus, if you visit the museum, you don't pay for parking. It's free parking for the museum. And somehow that got misconstrued. We've had it in the paper, we've been on the radio, but people still think they have to pay to go to the museum, but you don't. You pay to go in the park if you just want to go in the park and go to the beach or walk around. But if you visit the museum, it's free parking.
Now, how many other memorials do we have now in the museum? Got an idea?
We've just added the World War I memorial and the World War II memorial that were in Buttonwood Park. It was kind of inaccessible where it was. So where they've relocated them down now, it's very accessible, especially the World War II monument. That was designed by Don Canto, who is a World War II veteran. And he's a member also of the museum. And he designed that memorial, and it's a wonderful, beautiful memorial.
It is, and it was hidden behind the wall where the barracks is.
And if you couldn't walk, you had to park your car where the pond was and walk over.
Because there's not enough parking.
No, there wasn't enough parking. So actually, it's much more accessible, and it looks really beautiful there. And it was a dead corner in the park.
It was. And he talked of, at one time, to take the wall down, and I said to him, Don't do it, Don, because the
Well-
people walking by, you don't know who's walking by. They'll destroy
found
it.
out they couldn't do it.
Well, they destroy it anyway. They
it
were
was
putting their
done by
feet
the-
on the
it was-
benches as it was, the
Yes.
runners and people,
It
you
was
know.
done by the WPA, and it's now historic.
Yeah.
So it could not be
Well,
disturbed.
my father may have had something to do with that. He
Well,
worked
it's-
WPA
It's
years
become
ago.
a historic wall now, so it couldn't be done. So we have that, plus we have the Vietnam Memorial over there. We have the Merchant Marine Memorial over there. It's become really much of a veterans park. Actually, it was previously a fort anyway, so it's appropriate.
Will
to
they
have those
move
in
the
there.
Korean Memorial in there too? The one that's on Parker Street there?
I don't think so.
No, that's on a
I
corner
think they
there,
want it
but
where everything
it's
is.
good.
Everybody's happy
You
where
can
things
see
are
it,
now.
you know,
Yes.
it's a good location.
But those two really were hidden behind there, and
Yeah.
it was not a good location. In fact, the World War II veterans were not happy with it, but they took what they could get at the time.
well-
but they're very happy with what
Well,
it
it's
is
like
now.
moving the big tank. You've
That's
got
right.
the big tank
well,
from the
I was instrumental in that.
BOD, yeah.
I talked to Joe Theodore, who was Mr.
Bless
Flag.
him, bless him.
And he was a big help with us. And I said, Joe, you know, nobody really sees that tank in front of the VFW. And if it was moved down here, a lot more people would see it. So he said, yeah, you're right. And so he talked to the veterans there, and they voted at the VFW there to have it moved. And then Mayor Lang had it moved down there. And they did a lovely...
It's pretty even with it gone as far as for the front of the VFW.
Sure, yeah. We get so many visitors that stand by there to have their picture taken by that tank. So it's
Well, that's something not in this generation. They don't see tanks like that.
No. So it's really a catch-all for taking pictures with people.
It's true. It's true. And so many people worked on those things and used them in war, which never seems to end. We never seem to be able to stop wars, do we?
No, we're going through the same thing all over again.
Now we got to start with a new generation.
That's right.
Which is not the best. in the
Everybody
world.
hopes we're going to stop wars, but it seems it doesn't happen.
It doesn't seem possible.
Yeah. I thought the end of Vietnam was going to be the end of it, but we went right back in with this one now, and this is...
We still have people in Korea, and that's still a hotbed. I mean,
well, we
don't know what's going to
We
happen.
have people in Germany. I don't understand why we still have people in Germany. But
No, because they're not an angry...
the Cold War now is kind
it's
of
pretty
passé,
much
but,
over, yeah. But we need our military.
Oh, there's no question.
And there's no question that the military
Well,
is
actually, that's what we do. We honor every veteran. In fact, we have our motto at the museum is "Every day is Veterans Day." And we thought it was a good motto until Dan LeBlanc said he's had it on his door for years. And he said, but you guys can use it. So we were happy.
Nice. He's one guy
we thought we
we've
came
missed.
up with something new, but he said, no, it's not
Well,
new.
your
But
train of thought was in the right place.
But he said it's good, so we want you to use it. So it's actually our motto. We have a sign right out there, every day is Veterans Day. We don't promote war, we promote peace, and it ends up that we just want to honor the veterans, and that's what the museum is all about.
Yeah. Have you ever been to Normandy to see the crosses?
I haven't, no.
No, I haven't either. I'd love to go.
Yeah.
But only time will tell.
Sure, yeah, right.
Your family, your son is too young. He's
Yes.
not in the military.
No, he's not in the military.
You have one son.
I have one son and one daughter.
One
yes,
daughter.
Yes.
Okay. Their names?
My daughter's name is Donna. She's 7 years older than my son, who is Dennis.
Okay.
We're all D's except
All
for
the
my
Ds.
wife. Her name is Janice.
That's nice. She stands out on her own.
She does. But she's the one that named my daughter and son. So.
Nice names for them
So
to
she
carry
put
on
them
when
in
they
there.
get older. Yeah. The museum, the people that work for you, they're strictly volunteers?
We're all volunteers, including myself and the president and vice president. We're all volunteers.
And the city supports you, and any organizations, do they support you?
Actually, you can become a member for as low as $10 a year, and it's you can renew it each year. And we have a lot of people who are $100 members, $50 members, or whatever you can afford. We have some $5 members, older people who that's all they can afford, but they want to be a member. So, you know, we say $10, but we'll take whatever you feel.
Well, there's a start.
You can afford. You know, and we send a newsletter out at least once or twice a year to keep you up on what's going on with the organization and the museum. We have added a couple of new displays since we've got the addition in. We have one for the home front, World War II home front.
Oh.
So we even had a man bring in what used to be an air raid siren. It was on the top of the poles. They used to ring. And they
That's
also
an
used it
antique. That's rare.
after World War II. They used it to cancel school. So we have that there, and we have a sign over to tell you what it is, because a lot of people won't know what it is.
Recognize.
It's really on the floor and with a sign over to tell you what it was used in World War II. We have pictures of people, young men and women, collecting papers. World War II. In fact, I used to do that in World War II. I used to collect newspapers And of course, we used to get a little money for it, but it was helping the war effort. So we have a little pictures on that in that area. We also have a new display about heroes around us, and it's about the concentration camps. And this, we have some local men who actually helped close these prison camps down, concentration camps down. And we have their pictures and some of the stories of them in there.
They must have been a horror to see.
It had to be terrible.
Had to be a
so
horror.
we do have an area on
Those
that
are the
also.
ones that don't talk too much about it either. They keep that inside.
I wouldn't think so. That had to be. I know. I see some of the videos on the History Channel, and it's horrible to see that. You know, it's what one person can do to another person.
I can't watch some of those programs because they're just too vivid.
They are horrendous.
You know, because I had uncles and cousins that were in the military in the Second World War. One was a bombardier, one was in the Navy, was a cook, one was different places. So it's a personal thing, you know.
Yes,
besides my own being in the military, I guess I followed the men too, because I don't think there's too many women in the. Well, there's one cousin. She went in. I think it was in the Navy.
Of course, now you have a lot more women in there than you had before.
Yeah. So.
And we have a nice little corner in there with it was World War II corner actually with women. And there's a number of them in different branches of the service they served in World War II. And it's a nice little corner we have in there with them in there. So
well, you have no choice because even the nurses.
Sure.
They're entitled.
That's right.
And they really were always on the front line, most of them. They've really seen a lot.
Again, did not get credit for like a lot of other people who served.
And they don't talk about it, and I can't get them on the show. They don't want to go back that far.
Yeah.
And I don't push it.
Yeah.
If they really have something to say, you know, to anybody, or they want to be recognized just a little as to what they did, that's fine. Let me know. You know, I'll put anybody on that relates to what we're trying to do.
It's amazing what comes into the museum. It's, you know, like I said, the air raid siren came in. In fact, he called and said, you know, I have an air raid siren. Used to be on the poles for World War II. Couldn't you use it? I said, bring it in. We'll see what we can do with it. Well, it ended up nicely to be used in the home front.
That's right.
So we never know what's coming in.
No.
And we still have a number of things we haven't put out. And we're still working to get out. We're all volunteers. And this is like a part-time job for us. Although my wife says it's more full-time with me. I'm there every morning. I'm there before it opens, and I check the donation boxes.
Well, you need a leader. So you have to be there.
Well, actually, both the president and vice president work. The president works part-time; he's semi-retired, and the vice president works full-time, and he works in Rhode Island. So, but he puts a lot of time in at night, you know. And actually, with the moving of all the change with the addition, he was in there working nights, and they were in there till 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, moving things, taking walls down.
Now, who does make the decision as to what you're going to display?
Actually, Bob Bromley is our vice president, and he's also the curator.
Okay.
So actually, he'll lay out a plan, and we'll talk it over on what things should be done. He's very good on laying out things and that, so we kind of let him go which way he feels it should go, and it works out usually pretty well. So myself and Joe Langlois work with him, and but he's the curator and he's the vice president. So
now, anyone, no matter where they're from, as long as they're a vet, can come and talk to you and bring some paperwork.
Oh yeah, you don't have to be a vet. You don't have to be a vet. We have families of veterans bring things in. We have people who move into homes and find things and bring them in. They find things in attics, in cellars, closets that people move out, or they retired and go into nursing homes or whatever, and things are left there. So they'll bring them in, and we try to research them, but they can be used. Most of those things can be used.
Really?
So I don't think we've ever turned anyone away with no matter what came in, you know. Whether it was a cartoon that somebody of World War II or whatever, we don't always get them up, but I don't think we've turned anybody away. And in the uniforms, we've been able to locate some more mannequins. We bought some mannequins, and they're very hard to find mannequins.
Oh yeah.
You would think that they would be somewhere
They don't
around.
use them as much as now.
No, they don't. A lot of them are just like waist-high mannequins, but these were freestanding mannequins, so we can put a full uniform on. And so we now have just found some full mannequins, legs and all. And the thing is, we got to find a way to get the shoes on them. So there's always a little
Scotch tape or duct tape.
Well, we'd have to maybe cut the shoes to get on in some
just
cases.
put the top over.
And take the bottom off.
You've got some beautiful models of the ships and things encased in the old one.
Yes.
Have you been able to move those into?
Well, they're all the models are in whatever era they would
stayed there. Okay.
Well, some of them are over in Vietnam and Korea, because we have. It's amazing the amount of model planes and tanks, ships that come in there. And people are you know, they want to have their work shown, and we'd love to have them, because there's some beautiful models we have in there.
Yeah.
A man about a month ago brought in 32 World War I model planes with a case. Wow. So they're in a case, and they're beautiful models. And of course, they were biplanes, and and he had 3 of them that were pre-World War I. So we have them in a separate case. But like I say, we never know what's coming in there, and that's how we run out of room.
Now, your ad, how do you add, so put ads in or information so people know to stop in New Bedford to see the...
Actually, we've been, the Standard Times has helped us a lot. WBSM has helped us a lot, and this will help us a lot. So actually, most of the magazines have had slugs in there about us that we're, you know, and we're open free. That's one thing I forgot to bring out. It's open 1 to 4 every day, and it's free. And we're only closed 4 days a year: Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. So that's a lot of coverage. So we have over 40 volunteers that man that museum. Every day there's 3 or more volunteers in there, and we never have enough, because the more you have, if somebody can't make it or they're sick or whatever, then we'll have someone else who can step in there. So
you ever had an ROTC day where the young people could come in?
We've talked about it, but we've been lucky enough we haven't had to have them. Actually, the junior Marines have done some work for us.
They're usually useful, yeah.
They've been very good.
Yeah, most of those help us on the cemeteries during the putting of the flags at Memorial Day.
I have to thank a lot of people who have helped us. In fact, I have a picture here. We were very fortunate that the 3 of us, myself, Joe Langlois, the president, Bob Bromley, and myself, were named...
There's quite a few items on that wall all around you.
Men of the Year. And that was from a lot of help from a lot of people, including all our volunteers. I have to thank the United Way mini grants. They started us off years ago when we had nothing. We still don't have a lot, but we have a little bit more, because we have to pay the rent, we have to pay the utilities, and we want to keep expanding the museum. So that's, you know, like buying them the mannequins.
Still have area you think you could expand?
Well, it's funny because they tell me I have a wall stretcher.
Oh.
Because if they run out of room, they give it to me to find room for, and I've been fortunate. In one case, I had to move 42 pictures to put 1 up. And that's before the addition. And now we're almost getting back to that now, because so much has come in and we've expanded it. That's why if anybody hasn't been in there for a year or so, they will be just amazed. In fact, Arthur Motta, who again is a big booster of ours, who used to be tourism director for the city, Arthur came in with one of the mayors from Ireland that was in several months ago, and he brought him in there, and he emailed me back. He says, I'm floored. He says, I'm just floored of what he hadn't been in there for several years, because he's so busy now with the Whaling Museum. He says, I'm blown away with what you've done down there, you know. And it's a completely different look than what it was. Because what used to be the porch is now the new entrance, and that's all part of the museum. So that gave us added space too, plus the 32 by 40 room.
And it's easy to access because you've got the ramps.
It's
everyone,
it's wheelchair accessible, and it's we have another entrance and exit now. The old entrance now can be an exit in case of emergency. And that's the one we use when we go in, when we open the museum. It's all alarmed. We have video cameras that cover every door 24/7, so if somebody broke in there at night, they'd have the picture taken in there. So we do have an alarm system, so it's security has been stepped up. The police do a good job going through there at night.
Now that section that's the old, behind the wall, the old fort, what is in there?
The wall is gone. The fort's wide open now.
Is it?
That's what I told you. You have to see that.
I have
When you walk in now, you walk into a sign-in desk, and when you look to your left, there's the fort model right there. The wall that was in front of it is gone. And that draws you into the fort model. Again, that was built by a man by the name of Donald Perkins. He lives in Pecasset down the Cape. And the reason he built the fort model was because he does lighthouses, and there was a lighthouse on the top of that. And we also have the Butler's Flats lighthouse model that he made also, that's in there. So it's there's so many.
It all comes together so that it's a day's picnic for families and friends.
I think one visit in the museum doesn't do it. You have to go back. You have to go in there and walk through and key in the areas you really like, whether it be World War II or Vietnam or Korea or present day, and then come back again and just spend more time in that area. It would take you...
And how many of your visitors ever said to you, I served with that man, you've got a picture of someone on the wall, you know?
We're the only museum we know that has pictures of local people who served, men and women, and in whatever era they served in. And they'll come in, especially that we have the the ones we lost in Vietnam. We have a special section with local people. This is New Bedford, Fairhaven, Acushnet, Dartmouth, and there's one from Westport. And the men we lost in Vietnam, we have their pictures and we have their bios in a book.
Oh, nice.
And that was done by Red Perry, who was a Vietnam veteran, and his wife Donna put that together.
They work hard,
and that's in there, and you can go in and look through the bio. And so many people come in and say, oh, I knew this one, I knew that one. And then as you walk through World War II, we're losing so many of those, but they'll come in, and these are children of World War II veterans that knew some of these World War II
Well, I pretty
veterans.
much lost all the Pearl Harbor survivors. I've
Yes.
tried to get, they're either too far away or too old to come out.
Sure.
I had one on the other side of Boston I wanted to do for December 7th.
Right.
And I talked to him, and he said, I'd love to come, but I don't drive anymore.
Yeah,
And he said, I have to have someone bring me in. It's very far. He said, I'd have to take a train.
Sure.
You know, and I said, don't worry about it. Just stay healthy, you know, as long as you can, because we lost Mr. Tripp.
Yes.
Walter,
Yeah.
and we lost the one in Westport. Is still there because Susie interviewed him at his home. She had to go to the house.
In fact, Joe Langlois, our president, is working with Sue, and we have a number of videos done that Sue has done with him, and they're quite interesting. So we're trying to catch these men while we still have them.
That's right.
To tell their stories,
That's
because
right.
the stories are very interesting, and you play them on the cable access station, and I've watched a number of them.
I have too.
And they're very interesting to watch.
I watch my own too, just to make sure that we're talking right when we're on. Yeah. Now the museum is known around the country now. By now, it's pretty well.
We've got to be
spread
known.
out.
Yes, it's taken time, but word of mouth probably
Because
is the
other
best
places
way.
have museums, but they don't. Not the same as we've done here.
No, they don't show pictures of local people who served.
Oh, okay.
They may show a picture of one person or not, but every picture that comes in, we find a place for.
Okay.
And as soon as we can get it up there, you know.
And you're expecting more, I'm sure, this year. You got a new year starting.
Yeah, well, like I said, since Veterans Day, we've had 1,000 items come in,
Wonderful.
including pictures. So there's a number of pictures came in also.
That's a good sign. It
So
shows they know where you are.
my wall stretch is very busy.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. That Sean house that they built for the vets.
Yes.
When the Sean people came in, the mother and father and the boy.
Yes.
The boy said he will be back.
Right.
He loved the museum. He didn't want to go home, and they had to get a plane to catch that afternoon.
Yeah.
And I think it was that day or the next morning. And he just loved your museum.
I think that's what happens is, you know, some people come in and the word of mouth spreads it. And in fact, I always say when you come back, bring a friend or a few friends.
Yeah,
So it's...
it does the trick. It does the trick.
I think we're unique. We really are unique. And Mayor Lang used to say it's the biggest little museum in the state.
It's not little anymore.
No,
it's a
now we've doubled.
medium-sized one now.
Yes, it is now.
It's the size of the Whaling Museum approximately, isn't it? Except
No,
they go up.
Yeah, well, the Whaling Museum has a lot lot more space. Yeah, they have.
It's
And
a
they've done
different type
wonderful
of
job.
museum, no
Yes, it is.
competition.
You know, actually, there's a number of attractions in this city, and there's a number of museums locally, including the Whaling Museum, that we're trying to connect all the dots because we should be able to work together and help each other.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, that's the only way the city will grow.
That's right.
And it'll bring the right people in to spread the news.
Right.
You know, people that are interested.
We found with having to pay for parking last summer, we were a little concerned. We needed that because we were getting people in on the weekends from Attleboro, Brockton, and they had no interest in just to make a mess down there.
No.
In fact, it cost the city more money to clean up after they left. So that's why the parking actually came in and you had to pay for, is to help clean up the park. Well, we found out it wasn't getting as dirty by people having to pay because we weren't getting those people in there.
Yeah.
And local people were now able to use the port,
Yeah.
to use
and
the
you've
beaches.
got that waterway there with the benches and the tables, yeah?
That's the
so people can have their
Merchant
little
Mariners Pier.
They can have their little brown bag and still go around.
It's such a lovely location in the
It is.
summertime.
It's a beautiful point
it is,
there.
Yeah.
My brother served on there when it was the old fort.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
do we have his picture?
Probably not.
Probably not,
He
see?
passed away. It'll be a year next month.
Well, if
I've
you-
got a few things of his. I may put them together and
well,
get them
if
to
you
you.
can, you know, that's what we're all about. If we keep asking, is
He's a New Bedford boy, so
this
we'll
is-
get him
this is
in
what
there.
we're all about.
Yeah. His daughter lives in Arizona, and I'm trying to get things together for her.
Sure.
Because she's got a son,
Sure.
and he wanted the things to go to his grandson. So that's what it takes time.
Oh, it does. Yeah.
Not only the emotion of losing him, you know, I'm still coping with that, you
Sure,
know,
yeah.
because we were close.
Yeah.
He was the youngest, and yeah, we were close.
Well, my brother was in the Merchant Marine in World War II, and I've lost him. He's but his picture's in there, and In fact, I lost him quite some time ago. But again, the Merchant Marine were not considered veterans until like 40 years after World War II. So he got no benefits out of being a veteran.
I know.
It was too late for him.
Yeah, it wasn't fair really because they did a lot.
Well, what I understand, they made a little more money. The Merchant Marine were paid higher.
Oh, okay.
They made like $40 more a month than the Navy personnel that was on
money.
there. So in those days, so it was a political thing that they weren't classified as veterans. So somebody finally came through and said they went through. In fact, that branch of the service lost more people than any other branch of service in World War II. They were sitting ducks on those ships out there. They only had a couple of guns.
And they weren't what you'd call guns. I mean, they were just protection.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a little protection. They had to depend on the destroyers or whatever that were protecting them.
And they were right out on the edge of the front.
And actually, the beginning of World War II, we lost a lot of ships right off the coast.
Well, our port is an open port. They had to close it off because of submarines and everything else, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've been a very interesting city. People don't even know. Now they're starting to know we're alive.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's important. And
well, we tell a lot of that story in the museum, actually. There's a lot of it in there. A lot of people wonder why it's called Fort Tabor Park, but the original fort in there was an earthworks fort, and it was built by Mayor Tabor. Isaac Tabor was the mayor at the time, and that was to protect the whaling ships, because that was from the south. They were catching the whaling ships at sea, and they were scuttling them and sinking them. So they thought they would come in the harbor here, because also not only did we have that was our commerce, but we were also we were abolitionists. We were protecting the slaves, and they were being brought up through here. So they thought for sure that we would be attacked. So
there was quite a few people that helped the slaves in those days.
Yes,
because I had an aunt that
we were part of the Underground Railroad.
I heard that she did quite a bit for them. Yeah.
So there's a lot of history in the museum. It really is, and it's like I said, you can spend hours in there, and one visit will not do it.
Oh no, and you better brown bag it, because you're going to get hungry if you do keep walking around.
If you stay there long enough, you can easily spend 3 hours in there and still not see everything.
And then go out and want to come back.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the uniforms we have are unique. We now have an official Westport uniform.
Oh,
West Point. I want to say West Point uniform, and it's on a mannequin out there, and it's really an outstanding uniform. Plus all the other ones we have with the stripes and all the medals and everything there. And we have some people have donated their medals. They're in cases, on there. So and we also have a lot of guns. All the guns are made so they will not fire, and but
so no value to anyone if
no,
they wanted to go in there.
No, if they took them, they could never use them. They either been the barrels are full of lead or the firing pins are taken. So, but there is just so much to see in there.
Well, the invitation is open to the area people, the city
and it's open
visitors.
Free. 1 to 4 every day. That's 7 days a week.
And if not, just give a call. You got a phone number they might be able to call?
We do have a phone number. It's 508-994-3938. And any day from 1 to 4, there'll be somebody there to answer.
They can check to make sure that there would be someone.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think we've done it.
Thank you,
Mr. Moore.
Thank you very much for the help you give us.
Good luck with your family.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, New Bedford. Join us on the next program.